Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo to present. Our top stories in the news tonight: mismanagement of the CHUNGA dump site by the council sparks protests among residents. Opposition leaders castigate government over the public-private partnership road financing model. President Hakainde Hichilema warns the private sector against corrupt practices when bidding for contracts. In international news, BOLA TINUBU addresses supporters after being declared winner. And in sports news, Just Fontaine, former France striker and World Cup record holder, dies aged 89.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 61 0755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Hello again. Another news in detail. Residents of CHUNGA have staged a protest over the indiscriminate disposal of waste by garbage collectors at CHUNGA dump site. In an interview with Camnet TV, the residents have lamented that the waste, which has protruded from the boundaries of the site, has posed health risks to the residents, hence their protest. They have added that they want sanity in their area and have since called on the relevant authorities to look into the matter. More in the following report.
Enough is enough is the new slogan for the residents of CHUNGA as indiscriminate disposal of waste has continued to affect them. The residents have posed a vote of no confidence in the Lusaka City Council, accusing the local authority of failing to manage the infamous CHUNGA dump site. They opted to translate their anger into action by blocking hundreds of trucks from proceeding to the dump site. The residents hired an excavator using their resources to clear the affected roads, demanding that the council shows commitment to do things better. The residents have explained that garbage protruding from CHUNGA dump site has hindered their daily movements and businesses as people have started staying away from any economic activities in CHUNGA.
Yonse amaezi si mwamene yanaliliswa bama kwanisa kupushinga nanga ino yecha kagabwanji tifuna chiwa tandizileko bateteko magreda kuti bashite bwanji batikirinire
They have since appealed to the relevant authorities to act on the matter, stating that if not handled, more protests will be staged.
That's why sebazimaita nyamuka. Peneza tiangira pesa chokera pano. Ngati ni 1 week itizangala. Ni same.
Meanwhile, Lusaka City Council Director Public Health Victor Kagoli has assured to address the matter.
Community concerns are true. We have put an intervention from today onwards that the road will not be littered. We have planted the police, the council police, to ensure that everyone is directed to be 24 hours operation. And like the way we will knock off maybe at 20 hours, we have observed that disposal continues even at the late hours when everyone else has knocked off. It is manageable. As we speak, we are going to address the community to reassure them of these interventions, and that we are also pulling. The road was some kind of 3-4 ways, but it has narrowed to 1 way.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some residents of Lusaka's Libala South have accused the power utility company ZESCO of failing to respond to an emergency call in which live ZESCO cables had been cut off after a tree fell on them. Some residents spoken to have explained that ZESCO has failed to show up on time when it was called to come and attend to the live cables that were posing a serious threat to the lives of people in the area. The residents also explained that most of the electric appliances in their homes have become live and are electrocuting whoever tries to touch them.
A distress call by the residents of Lusaka's Libala South Kapoli Street to the power utility company ZESCO to come to their aid after some ZESCO cables fell due to the impact caused by a tree that fell on them proved to have fallen on deaf ears as the power utility company failed to respond to the call on time. 3 hours after the incident, the power utility company was nowhere to be seen, and the resident raised concerns as to why the power utility company failed to respond to such a distress call. School-going children were also at risk, which prompted the community to act by directing some children to avoid using the road while they waited for ZESCO to show up.
This cable, as you can see, is lying in between of the road. So the school boys and girls are passing here. Others, they're not aware of electricity, so they don't know the dangers. But when you look at this, it's a danger to someone's life. Then you look this other side, all the cables, you can see the other side. So this is a danger. We've tried to cause this. When you go in the house there, when you touch anything, is stove, yagwira maraiti. Kuliko sikama gwira maraiti yadi throughout yadi shabe live. So we don't know what ZESCO is going to do about it. I don't know what time they're going to come because we are so concerned. Now we have to stand here to be telling people not to pass here. This is an emergency whereby people, just from our neighbor there, the other one has been electrocuted.
Others are equally disappointed with the utility company and has wondered why ZESCO takes too long to respond to emergencies.
Cooking. I just felt power in my hands. That's how I left the pot, then I came out. Then when I came out, I found people checking this side. That's how they told me that the tree has fallen on the cables, power ZESCO cable. Very dangerous because the cable is just lying there. So people passing and then some vehicles pass this side. So we need...
Currently we have a disaster. It's unfortunate that such a thing has happened, but these are the things that happen. You can imagine a whole tree dropping power poles. What are we going to do?
An effort made by this reporter to contact ZESCO Corporate Affairs Manager Karisto Chitamfia proved futile as his phone went unanswered while the lives of these residents remained at risk. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
President Hakainde Hichilema says corruption in the health sector has been giving government headaches since it took over office. Officiating at the first ever Zambia European Union Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Forum in Lusaka Wednesday, President Hichilema has advised the public and the private sector to report any official who will be soliciting for resources when awarding them contracts. The president says he wants drugs to be bought at an affordable price and that all drugs should be certified by the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA. He says those who will be involved in corruption will be fired and should not lie to their spouses that the president hates them. Meanwhile, European Union Ambassador to Zambia, Jacek Jankowski, has pledged that the EU will help equip Zambian pharmaceutical companies with the latest technology to produce enough drugs for the country.
Sector, that's my other message, is one of the sectors since we took office giving us some headaches. The health sector. Corruption in this sector. Corruption. Taking away what doesn't belong to you. Taking away a Panadol that is bought for a public health facility. And because you work in the system, along the way, it is taken off the supply chain. And the patient does not receive it. Our job is to address the scourge of corruption in this sector. I invite the public, I invite us in the business, Mr. Saga, because as you supply you get talked to someone in public sector is telling you that adka something.
So this forum is only a milestone in a much larger action that would eventually replace the Made in EU and Made in India with Made in Zambia. Let me repeat, because I would like to hear this, our voice to be very well heard. Made in Zambia products in pharmacies and health facilities countrywide.
The pandemic has highlighted the critical need to prepare for potential disruptions of the supply chain for essential medicines and other health supplies. It is a big global agenda to enhance efforts towards local production and equitable distribution of medicines, health technologies, and supplies.
Private sector-driven socio-economic transformation. We will, as the pharmaceutical and manufacturing industry, and we must play a role in achieving these targets.
The opposition leadership movement has charged that there is nothing exciting about relegating public service provision to the private sector in the case of the construction of the Lusaka-Ndola dual carriageway. The government signed a concession agreement for the public-private partnership project for upgrading to dual carriageway of 327 kilometers of Lusaka-Ndola road, including rehabilitation of 45 kilometers of the Luansha-Fisenge-Masangano road in Central and Copperbelt provinces. But Dr. Silumbe says it is irresponsible for the government to subject citizens to more taxes through road tolling. He feels the government is failing to take charge of public service provision.
The public-private partnership model for the construction of the Lusaka-Ndola road, including rehabilitation of Luansha, Fisenga, Masangano roads in Central and Copperbelt provinces, has been said to be a game changer for financing road projects in the country. Macro Oceans Investment Limited will be in charge of the road for 25 years, but the government will also have a stake on revenue. During the signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Understanding on Tuesday, Finance Minister Tumbeko Msokotwane indicated that the government has done what other governments failed to do.
They left empty coffers. So if you left empty coffers, how do you expect the government of the day to finance this?
However, opposition leadership movement president Dr. Richard Silumbe feels it is not a good idea to relegate government obligation to run state infrastructure to the private sector.
We expected the new Dawn government to be helping the Zambian people to thrive in this difficult economy and not to give up on public infrastructure and give room to the private sector to run those systems, public infrastructure, as profit-making. And this is very dangerous because we are putting the future generation into unnecessary debt. Imagine you give up on an infrastructure like a road for 25 years, and that itself is actually selling the future of the Zambian people. We do not like these policies because these policies eventually they will transform into abusive way of dealing with the public.
Dr. Silumbe says subjecting citizens to more taxes through road tolling is not ideal.
Disappointed with the fact that the new Dawn government is not taking serious responsibility of what it should be delivering to the Zambian people. We expect public infrastructure to be run by the Zambians and through the government and not to be relegated to the private sector, because when you do that, you are going to subject the public to more abuse, payment of tariffs, payments of toll gates that are unimaginable, because the private sector is interested in profits, whilst government is there to provide service to the people. So this is very bad, and we do not actually support it.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Gesing Urenda has advised the United Party for National Development Administration to enhance transparency and accountability to avoid public speculation. Mr. Nyirenda notes that there has been a number of speculation on policy pronunciation, such as the utilization of President Hakainde Hichilema's salary wherever it is going, since he declared that he was not getting paid. Mr. Nyirenda says the government should be proactive in informing citizens on matters of national interest.
Well, it is actually very, very important that government enhances accountability but also transparency in all aspects of governance, all spheres of governance in this country. Because if transparency is lacking and accountability is not there, it means that people will continue to speculate, people will continue to bring in innuendos that may not even be there. And it's important that the information gap is filled, especially with the issue to do with how government is accountable and how government is transparent in terms of what it is doing.
The governing United Party for National Development, UPND, has disclosed that through the help of the party leadership in the diaspora, it has embarked on a program of helping party cadres who were victims of political violence. UPND Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Spokesperson Phineas Pumulo says it is not true that the party has abandoned youths who were injured during political activities. Meanwhile, UPND cadre Peter Masani, who was shot on the buttocks at the Lusaka High Court grounds in 2016 when he went to drum up support for President Hakainde Hichilema on the occasion of a presidential petition, is a beneficiary and among the few people who have been helped. Mr. Masani is happy that he has been assisted with an amount of 17,000 kwacha mobilized by UPND members in the United States of America to help sustain his livelihood.
The negative consequences of political violence are there for people to see, as the vice deprives the victims of the ability to sustain their livelihoods, subjects the family to poverty and misery, especially when the person involved is a breadwinner. In modern day politics, many political cadres have suffered injustice through extrajudicial killings, like in the case of Lawrence Banda. Others have died due to mob justice, with some left with permanent scars from gunshots. Stories of UPND cadres who sacrificed for the party being abandoned in the past have been eminent. Peter Masani, who was shot on the buttocks at the Lusaka High Court grounds in 2016 when he escorted President Hakainde Hichilema during the hearing of the presidential petition, shares that life has been difficult.
The guy was shot 2016 kanya petition ya President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, and then the pasa solidarity our President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Ndine muntu nina bullet mabataks kumbuyo apanonga siko mochipancha montani zako. According me, I'm a minibus driver. I'm a driver, so I was in Mankala for less than 2 hours or 30 minutes. Because in Mambila Kachat, Kavukura Vich, and now Kadi. Then sometimes in the Maning in Mambila Kwendoi, Imunga is paralyzed. Yankala week.
However, the party, through its members in the United States of America, has opted to assist victims of political violence, and Mr. Masani is happy to be among the early beneficiaries as he received 17,000 kwacha.
According to what I Israeli, there's more than a lot of people. Someone who died, when Mapenzi, when Lawrence, when Ango, according to my friend Peter, we were living with a bullet in the end. Nzanga lipo. When Angona katika when Angozomini na mapanga, we are different injuries. So nonga ziko mwati chipancha nganzira ku pasiku ya lero zimwana mata nzirain, don't give up na wena ngwazanga bakali kubwera.
And UPND Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Spokesperson Phineas Pumulo says it is not true that the party had abandoned youths who were injured and families who lost their loved ones during political activities, saying all those affected will be taken care of.
Either like Peter Masani, who is living with a bullet. We have given him 17,000 kwacha, and we have given again 3 of our youths in Western Province 17,000 kwacha each. We have also gone ahead and given 2 of our youths in Copper Belt Province 17,000 kwacha each. We are going across the whole 10 provinces to make sure that all those who were injured during the campaigns are helped. We want to take this opportunity also to appeal to our youths to desist from going to social media and start issuing unnecessary statement. We want to appeal to those youths who are in a habit of issuing a statement without the authority of the National Youth Chairman or the Secretary General, that they are going to be punished.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Court has granted former Defense Minister Geoffrey Mwamba permission to peruse through exhibits in order for him to adequately prepare for his defense. This was after Mwamba, through his lawyers, asked Lusaka Magistrate Stanford Ngobola to adjourn his opening of defense, citing the refusal by the court clerk to grant him permission to peruse through documentary exhibits filed in his case. In this matter, Mwamba is facing 8 counts of conflict of interest, 1 count of money laundering, and 15 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. More in this report.
Tomorrow, the 2nd of March 2023, former Minister of Defense Geoffrey Mwamba will take the stand and open his defense in the alleged corruption-related case that is facing before the subordinate court in Lusaka. The accused, who served as minister under the late President Michael Sata, stand charged with 24 counts, among them being in possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime involving millions of kwacha. Wednesday morning, the accused was set to open his defense, however applied for an adjournment through his lawyers on ground that he needs to peruse through the documentary exhibit produced in his case. He is of the view that this will help him to adequately prepare for his defense. Lusaka Magistrate Stanford Ngobola, who is presiding over his case, has granted his application in the interest of justice. The former defense minister was arrested in June 2022 by a joint investigation team and slapped with 8 counts of conflict of interest, contrary to Section 28(2) as read with subsection 3 of the Anti-Corruption Commission Act No. 3 of 2012, and 15 counts of being in possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 71, subsection 1 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010. Before the court found him with a case to answer and placed him on his defense last month, the court had heard evidence from 22 state prosecution witnesses. The accused is being tried under the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Zambia Community Development Initiative Programs Manager Director Hendrik Sinyambe has submitted before the Constitutional Court that the former President Edgar Lungu cannot be harassed or have his property seized because he is clothed with immunity. In this matter, Mr. Nyambe is contesting the actions by the Drug Enforcement Commission (DEC) to search the property of the former head of state without lifting of his immunity by Parliament. Meanwhile, the state, through DEC Senior Investigations Officer Emmanuel Kondowe, has asked the court to dismiss the case, arguing that there is no law which provides for the lifting of immunity of a person who once held office of president or who performed executive function before conducting investigations on them. More in this report.
The debate on whether a former head of state's immunity extends to criminal investigations, searches and seizures continues before the Constitutional Court. In the latest submission before the Constitutional Court, Zambia Community Development Initiative Program, through its Managing Director, Hendrik Nyambe, has submitted that a former head of state is clothed with immunity, hence cannot be subjected to harassment or have his property seized. In this matter, the organization has rushed to the Constitutional Court, contesting the action by the Drug Enforcement Commission to search former President Edgar Lungu's property without lifting of his immunity by Parliament. It contends that the action by DEC are illegal and a disregard of Mr. Lungu's right, immunity, status and standing. Hence, seeks the Constitutional Court interpretation of the extent of the immunity of the President. In the previous submission, the organization, through its Managing Director, had contended that the case was properly before the Constitutional Court, as there is need for interpretation as to whether the immunity of a former president does extend to the investigation wings of government, such as DEC, and is a subject of criminal investigations. However, the Drug Enforcement Commission, through its Senior Investigations Officer, Emmanuel Kondoe, has argued that there is no law which provides for the lifting of immunity of a person who once held office of president or performed executive functions before conducting investigations on them, stating that the seizure of any assets belonging to a former head of state before lifting of the immunity is part of the investigations process. In their further submission, the Commission says the seizure of 2 properties for the former head of state during the verification exercise was part of the investigation, and subsequently the seizure was lifted through the Director General, who is closed with authority to lift such a seizure. The Commission has since urged the court to dismiss the case, arguing that it did not in any way contravene the provision of Article 98(415) of the Constitution, as the Act relates to investigations, not criminal proceedings, when it went to conduct a verification exercise on the property of the former head of state. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take our first commercial break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested, genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Judicial Complaints Commission told the Constitutional Court that former Lusaka High Court Judge Sande Nkonde was given an opportunity to respond to allegations of unprofessional conduct, but he deliberately refused to do so. In its submission, JCC states that Mr. Nkonde cannot claim not to have been given an opportunity to defend himself before JCC recommended for him to be removed as judge of the High Court. The Commission states that Mr. Nkonde, at his own will, elected and deliberately refused to respond to the complaints lodged to JCC against him by Post newspaper in liquidation managing editor Fred Membe. This is in a matter in which the former High Court judge has sued the state, seeking declarations and orders over the decision of the JCC to recommend for his removal as High Court judge. He is seeking a declaration and other that the action by JCC, without any constitutional mandate contravenes the law when it submitted a report to the Republican president on the 6th of May 2022. Government has assured farmers in Eastern Province of early distribution of farming inputs for the 2023-2024 farming season. Minister of Green Economy and Environment Collins Nzovu says the challenges farmers experienced last farming season have been ironed out and that they should expect better service this year. The minister was speaking when he paid a courtesy call on His Royal Highness Chief Nyampande of the Nsenga-speaking people in Lusangazi district of Eastern Province. Meanwhile, the minister has directed the Office of Lusangazi District Commissioner, together with the Office of District Forest Department, to carry out an audit as to why Mukachinzula Cooperative had poor fish harvest despite being heavily funded. Mr. Nzovu was in Petauke and Lusangazi District to appreciate on Zambia Integrated Forest Landscape Project. And Chief Nyampande has expressed sadness that Zambia, after independence, is still importing fish from outside the country. The chief says the time has come that farmers in Zambia need to take fish farming as a serious business. And Msanzala Member of Parliament Elias Daka has appealed to government to send relief food as most families depend on wild tubers.
Government has assured farmers in Eastern Province that it will this year start a distribution of farming input support program. Minister of Green Economy and Environment Honorable Collins Nzovu says this year's farming season will be better compared to the last years where farmers did not receive their fertilizer on time. The minister was speaking this when he paid a courtesy call to His Royal Highness Chief Nyampande of the Nsenga-speaking people in Lusangazi district of Eastern Province.
The aim is to assure you that the farming season this year will be better than the last year. Already the Minister of Agriculture is advertising for fertilizer and seed. The difficulties we had for this year's season will not be there at all, we are assuring you. And I think the Minister of Agriculture will be announcing himself very soon when all these stocks will be available for our people. Secondly, also is a message that I'm sure you've seen now. The stocks for medicines are getting better and better all the time. And we'll make sure that our people are well looked after in the health space.
Meanwhile, the minister has directed the Office of Lusangazi District Commissioner, together with the Office of District Forest Department, to carry out audit as to why Mukachinzula Cooperative had poor fish harvest.
Audit on the project, the DC's office, the Forestry Office, to carry out an audit and come up with ways, we're not saying anybody has story, come up with ways of ensuring production is increased here. Production ifuna nsomba lati nsomba tuli vitatu tifune maponji vipatieko tifune mkafakamo nsomba mucha nsomba nyeza mezi zambo ukulisa kindu yete papa kwa kani mwenye mwaka mbatima cooperative siase wenza kwene chabini mpesa ma cooperative asewenza government ilaka matipange ma cooperative tukazi ndarama ziliko apa insetayamba na project. Next application, you open them points.
And Chief Nyampande says he's certain that Zambia, after independence, is still importing fish from outside the country. The chief says time has come that farmers in Zambia need to take fish farming as a serious business.
And as you know, there isn't much fish here. It's sad that we have to be buying fish from Namibia. You know, the seas there, the ocean. We have fish here, imported. When we can get our own fish here, the market is huge actually. We just need to improve on ourselves that we be able to satisfy the local market. The local market is huge. And with the support of government, we are really looking forward to working together and carry on with these projects. We are very, very excited about the new things that you are bringing in.
And Msanzala Member of Parliament Elias Daka has appealed to government to send relief food as most families depend on wild tubers.
They are forced to leave.
Sambo David, Lusangazi District, Eastern Province.
Meanwhile, Musanzala Member of Parliament Elias Daka has assured parents in Lusangazi district of Eastern Province that he will prioritize education as it is a key to national development. He says education is the only key that can reduce poverty and bring development closer to their doorsteps. The Musanzala lawmaker was speaking this afternoon in Chamalenje area when he inspected the construction of 1x2 classroom blocks.
Residents of Chamalenje in Chief Yamhande's area are grateful for the construction of 1x2 classroom block. The construction of 1x2 classroom block will reduce challenges of pupils walking long distances in search of nearby schools.
Nangu michanga tiliyotapeko ndipo kankhalire kwenze sikulu yochita kutatia warani kuno mutushe michanga muchaencherwa kwa machino chitukuko chatipasa unolendo ni chaulele kutokoza kula MP waso apitirize na umoyo wao wa bwino
lutokoza sikulu yatimangira pano tonzota kutali kumisolo kusikulu lutokoza MP
pano tutokoza iliboma maskulu ataesa kwa MP awerapo awa atilonjeza kugwada na nkokola kuyenda pansi apo numangirano nolwendo mkanivotera tavota otipitirira awerako soti yayi unolwendo mpaka nikwanirishe aesako vakanga aesako komalamba unolwendo ewera tyala kamozi kanamba tu akuzowera zindu zamboneka na meso chikuti ni sikulu yeta lomba yatufuna pano njala tikali nayo tufunika kuti ichi chitukuko ngati tiwapase soti mpata wauti atisogolere akatipase soti chipatala pano chifuka chipatala sikulu vungala pafupi na pafupi so aona lebo nenu tokoza na wantu toze tili pano tikalala tuona ngani wenye koma ni chendi.
Msazala Member of Parliament Elias Daka, who visited the site, was pleased with the construction works and assures the local people that another 1x3 classroom block will be constructed soon.
Ndiponso neo nekulonjeza ni kuti nikuletere ni chitukuko chakuti aliyense akochiona ayi osati ila chitukuko choleta masoya pieces kapena choleta chopa ya ng'ombe yayi koma kuleta skulu kuti bana watu wapunzire zamveka pempho yanga ni yakuti mwaiona skulu iyi niziwa mwe makolo paliye chimwata yapo chili chonse ayi mulio tunsheko mchanga mulio chaiko mabrikisi izi ni ndalama za CDF ayi izi ndalama boma epasa ma MP wonse koma sekuno kwatu techuzinga kuti pano pachitwerere timangepo pachamalenje kuti timangepo 1x2 classroom block right na total cost ndalama zituika hapa kuti timange skulu ni 350,000.
Later, the lawmaker listened to the church members at St. Paul's Roman Catholic Church and Anglican Church in Gakuya area, where he encouraged members to form cooperatives and benefit from the Constituent Women Fund, CDF. Here, Mr. Daka donated 50 pockets of cement to St. Paul's Roman Catholic Church and 50 pockets of cement to Anglican Church.
Chifukwa naona kwa mbili kuti maticha ndiye watenga mali maningi ndiye wachita na benefit maningi zamveka kuina but kufukwa chitukuko boma yaika maningi ndalama mu CDF kuti tisewenzese ise kuno kumunzi zamveka bona sifunika nochito mimunzi ati koma ndipempe chape kuti tigwire ngoni manja pang'ono then tikuletereni cement kuti mkonzeremo.
With the coming of free education, it is hoped that parents will take advantage of such facility to educate their children. Sambo David, Petauke, Eastern Province.
This is Camnet Television News. We take our final break. We'll be back with the international and sports news.
Living in a wonderful country full of opportunities for investment in property. Make sure your investment is guaranteed. Are you in the process of buying or selling land or properties? Don't waste your time and money. Contact SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. SGK, a company that will conduct due diligence for you before you purchase any property. Go for a tried and tested, genuine company in Zambia. SGK Property Consultants.
Now in international news, Nigerian TINUBU on Wednesday spoke to supporters after officials declared him the winner of Saturday's election in Africa's most populous nation. TINUBU allegedly received 37% of the vote, or nearly 8.8 million, while main opposition candidate Abubakar won 29% with almost 7 million. Third place finisher Obi took 25% with about 6.1 million, according to the results announced on live television by the Independent National Electoral Commission. On Tuesday, the two leading opposition parties had demanded a re-vote, saying that it had been compromised by vote rigging and widespread violence. This election was the widest open in years, with a surprise third-party candidate putting up an assertive challenge. Here's more of a roundup in international news.
Shortly after being declared winner of Nigeria's highly contested election, Bola Tinubu stopped at the APC's campaign headquarters in Abuja to address his supporters who were celebrating their victory to the rhythm of Afrobeat music. In a speech, he appealed for reconciliation with his rivals and promised to make Nigeria better.
The ship did not sink or waver. We anchor well on the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
A long-time political kingmaker, Tinubu campaigned saying it's my turn to govern Africa's largest economy. He promised renewed hope, but faced questions over his health, past graft accusations, and ties to Buhari, who many critics say failed in his promise to make Nigeria safer.
The piece of news of the day: Nigerians awoke to a new president Wednesday, with the ruling party candidate declared the winner of the country's election. Bola Tinubu's direct contenders say the vote was marred by fraud and violence. Both parties called for the head of the Electoral Commission, INEC, to step down. In Lagos, voters acknowledged glitches but backed the Electoral Commission's final say.
It's obvious that, the election went not well in some places, but INEC have done their thing and they have announced the winner. So if there is any issue any other party has with the election result, I think they should take out the case and do the needful.
He's a great man in Nigeria, he's a great man in Lagos. He has been controlling Lagos for many years and succeed. During his own regime, we people enjoy. There is no suffering. So we're happy as he climbed up to the federal and reach it and achieve it.
If the former governor of Lagos State remains popular, Tinubu did lose his stronghold to opposition candidate Peter Obi. Analysts say the tightly contested race has redrawn Nigeria's electoral geography, producing unprecedented results. It's the first time that a president wins with less than 50% of the vote.
It's now time for sports news. Now, sports news tonight. Just Fontaine, who holds the record for the most goals scored at a single World Cup, has died at the age of 89. Fontaine scored 13 goals in just 6 matches for France at the 1958 World Cup in Sweden as they finished third. He is joined fourth on the all-time World Cup goal scorers list alongside Argentina's Lionel Messi. A star of French football, an outstanding striker, a legendary Reims player, said his former club studied the Reims. The French Football Federation described Fontaine as the eternal goal scorer and a legend of world football. France manager Didier Deschamps said Fontaine's death will sadden everyone who loves football, adding that he is and will remain a legend of the France team. A minute's applause in tribute to Fontaine will be held at all French football grounds, starting with Wednesday's matches in the French Cup. To end Camnet television news, the headlines once again. Mismanagement of the CHUNGA dump site by the council sparks protests among residents. Opposition leader castigates government over the public-private partnership road financing model. President Hakainde Hichilema warns the private sector against corrupt practices when bidding for contracts. In international news, BOLA TINUBU addresses supporters after being declared winner in Nigeria's election. And in sports news, Just Fontaine, former France striker and World Cup record holder, dies aged 89. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Psalms 103, verse 12. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. Thank you again for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.